Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. I'm Maureen Reedy, the President and CEO of the Paley Center for Media, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this morning's very, very special Paley Dialogue, a conversation with the Chairman and CEO of Interpublic, Michael Roth, and Unilever's Head of Global Media. Unfortunately, you may have noticed there was a change in the schedule. Keith Weed from Unilever suffered a back injury, so he wasn't able to be with us this morning. I know you all join me in wishing him well. The good news is that, as I mentioned, we have Unilever's Senior VP of Global Media, Luis DeComo, who flew to New York last minute just to participate in this program. So thank you so much, Luis. Thank you. Now, Michael and Luis will discuss a global shift in consumer behavior, the rapidly changing media and marketing environment, and how businesses need to think differently about developing a global content strategy. They will talk about new digital ad technologies, the continuing importance of breaking through the clutter with memorable ideas, and the far-reaching consequences of developing strategies for positive social impact. We're thrilled to have them with us today. Michael Roth, I'm happy to say, and honored to say, is a trustee of the Paley Center for Media. I'm also happy to recognize some other trustees who have joined us this morning: Catherine Oliver, Jeff Sands, and Kate Koplowitz. Thank you so much for your support throughout the year. We're also delighted to have so many Media Council members with us this morning. If somehow you are not a member of the Media Council, we welcome you to join this distinguished and esteemed group of individuals so that you have access to more special events like this. Our next Paley Dialogue, if you'd like to mark your calendars, will be here in New York on January 12th. For those who won't get to CES and for those who will, we will feature Paley's review of the best of CES, the new technologies and the visionaries, along with demonstrations of the latest innovations right here. It's one of my favorite events. We have all show and tell. Last year we had drones flying around and lots of VR stuff, AI. So mark your calendars, January 12th, Best of CES, and the panel will feature Joe Marchese from the Fox Networks Group, John Miller of Advanced Capital, and Dana Wollman of Engadget. I hope you'll all join us. To McKinsey, Jeff Sands, our long-term and valued official knowledge partner, we thank you so much for supporting this event and the entire Paley Dialogue series. I'm now honored to welcome to the stage our distinguished speakers. Please join me in welcoming Michael and Luis.
Well, thank you for joining us. And Luis and I were talking before, and Keith assured us that he wasn't partying too hard in New York last night, and that's why his back is out. But we're very pleased to have Luis. Obviously, Luis has a significant responsibility at Unilever in terms of spending those media dollars. And the question we all always have to face is what's happening out there? Where do you spend those media dollars? How do you get the best bang for your buck? How do you work with your various partners? Fortunately, we're one of those partners. And really, you know, what's happening out there with all the things that we have been reading about. So I'm looking forward to a great conversation, and I thank you. I promised him I will not ask him about the election and what his view on the election was and what impact it has on that.
Brexit.
And Brexit, right. We'll keep it more down to this level, which is where we're all more comfortable talking. So one of the key items that are out there right now is this whole issue of I said I wasn't going to talk about the election, but of sustainability, okay? Whether you're a climate denier or whatever, sustainability is an issue. And certainly Paul Pullman, Keith, yourself, and other senior executives at Unilever have that on the top of the agenda in terms of a key core fundamental belief in Unilever. So can you talk a little bit about that in terms of how you see that evolving?
Absolutely. So first of all, let's put it simple. We cannot have a healthy business in an unhealthy society or in an unhealthy planet. And let me share a bit of the story of how do we arrive to our Unilever Sustainable Living Plan. So around 6 years ago, we did a piece of work to understand which are the key trends that are going to shape our business and our society. And of course, one of them is the fact that the environment is under stress. And just to give a bit of a flavor of what the study says is that in the next 40 years, we need to produce the same amount of food that we have been producing in the last 8,000 years. So that gives you a sense of the scale, a sense of the fundamental transformation that is happening in the world. And also for us, for Unilever, where we operate in 190 markets all around the world. Every day, 2 billion people touch our products. We need to really to address this challenge. That's why we created, around 6 years ago, the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, which is basically our ambition to make sustainability commonplace. And in other words, what we always say is that we want to decouple the growth from our business to the environmental footprint that we are having, and at the same time, increasing the social impact of our activities. And we tackle issues around water, waste, hygiene, nutrition, inequality. So it's an array of all different topics, from environmental to social, and how we wanted to really create new business models. What is important as well is that this is not only for us a kind of a moral impact. Throughout the journey of the last 6 years, we discovered that there is a positive business economic case. So by doing all of this, by doing new ways of business, new models, we realized that we either reduce the cost, like for example, reducing the packaging that all of our people use, or at the same time, we have all of the consumers that are increasing the trust in us as a company, that are increasing the trust in the brands that has a purpose for Unilever. So again, it's not only a moral thing that we need to do it for us and for the generations to come in order to create a better world and a brighter future for all of us. It's an economic beneficial strategy, and we always say that we encourage everybody in the industry to embrace these new ways of doing business, to embrace new sustainable ways of approach business.
You know, we certainly do a lot of work on insights into the consumer, and the notion of a brand purpose. I think it's pretty clear that if you're developing a relationship with a consumer, if you do work that emphasizes the brand purpose, there's no doubt that relationship becomes stronger. Consumers, employees, they all want to deal with a company that has the same values that they have, that really stand for various values that are important in the world. And I think Unilever, I'm not just saying this because I know they've been doing this now. They're the leaders of this in terms of both the UN as well as the business environment to take this, because consumers want to be associated with a brand that they're proud of and stands for good. And I know you've done some work in this area. So what is a presentation dealing with one of the top marketers in the world without sharing some video and some work that is examples of it? So
yeah. So first of all, let me just reframe what do we mean by brands with purpose. So we just wanted to do, in simple words, doing well by doing good. We want all of our brands to be a part of the solutions of all of the challenges that are out there. We did a study as well that across 5 markets to understand which is the purchase behavior of people around sustainability and about brands. And what we discovered is that around 33% of the people are already buying based on sustainability of brands with purpose. There is also another 21% of people that all the time are thinking, yes, I would like to do it, but I don't have enough cues. I don't understand what the brands are doing. The packaging is misleading. I don't understand what is the communication out there. So I think that there is the willing, but they are not already voting with their wallet on all of those brands. So I think that if we bring all of this together, we have 54% of people, more than half of the population, that are willing to embrace brands with purpose or sustainable brands. And we usually talk about what is a brand with purpose, and it's a combination of 2 things. First, this concept of a product to buy, and then an idea to buy into. That combination of a product to buy, an idea to buy into, is what brings together brands with purpose or sustainable brands. And what we realized as well in this study is that we just go through and we knew, but then we confirmed with the study that people are not willing to sacrifice anything for sustainable brands. They are not willing to sacrifice performance. They are not willing to have a price premium. So they just want the brands that they love to have a purpose. They want the brands that they are using to be sustainable. And I think that is critical for us, and I'm going to share some examples on what we are, on how we are doing this. But again, it is not part of niche brands or something that consumers say, okay, now I'm in that mood. It needs to be into the mainstream of the business, in the mainstream of how we are building brands to really have a positive impact. And he was asking me for some examples, and for sure all of us wanted to see some of the great case studies that we have. There is one that I guess that is the iconic one that for the last 10 years we have been working, that is Dove and the whole campaign of real beauty. That is the idea to buy into that we offer to consumers. Of course, we offer an amazing soap, an amazing product, but at the same time we offer the idea to buy into. That is this concept of real beauty, and we have been helping women all around the world to increase their self-esteem. Then the other one, that is a Lifebuoy. That is another great example that we have, that we know that in most of the developing countries, kids under 5 years of age are dying because they don't have the proper sanitation. What we are doing is we are partnering with the schools, partnering with the families to teach them how to wash their hands, because this is the most critical success factor for them to go through sanitation and then overcome the barrier of 5 years old. So that's another example. But the really one that I wanted to have a video, and is one of the most successful case studies that we have right now, is the one with our laundry brand, Omo. We call it internally "Dirty is Good." That is the idea that we give to our consumers. That is the idea to buy into, that dirty is good. And I think it's counterintuitive when we talk about the laundry brand to talk about dirty is good. But why don't we just show the video from Omo, and then I will expand on what we are doing there.
I didn't know what freedom was until it was taken from me. It's devastating. I've had who I am inside stripped away. You can never escape the walls. You can never escape your mind.
Let me have your attention, please.
Then imagine they open your door. You have time to walk out that door and feel the sun on your face. It's everything to me.
My daily outdoors time, I think that's probably the most important part of my day.
Take all the frustrations and all your problems and just leave them out there.
Keeps my mind right, keeps my body strong. It's pretty much the highlight of my day.
So, how would you feel if your yard time was reduced to just 1 hour a day?
Yeah. What am I supposed to tell you how I feel about that?
I'm gonna feel pretty sad about it.
I think that's gonna build more anger, it's not gonna be a good thing.
Would be torture.
I think cutting the offender's outside time to an hour a day is potentially disastrous.
Clear on okay.
Well, do you know who does have only 1 hour outdoors per day? Children.
Wow.
That's depressing. I don't even know what to say to that.
Something has gone very wrong.
Even as I sit in here and as a prisoner, I mean, yeah, that's not good.
If you don't have to throw the kids in the bathtub, they haven't played hard enough.
Climb a tree, break a leg, you know, that's part of life.
Learn to be a kid.
So, if you could have one wish, what would it be?
I wish I could take my kid to a park today.
Wow.
Thank you. And of course, that round of applause, of course, is also for Michael, because we have co-created this idea with one of the best agencies that we have out there, that is Mullen-Lowe. So thank you so much for all the great work that...
I actually came up with the dirt is good concept.
No, I think that is absolutely powerful, and of course, this kind of communication cuts through the clutter and goes straight to talk one of the deep human truths that is out there, that the kids are right now not playing enough. But more important is the whole activity that we have done around this. So we partner with organizations to raise the awareness of the fact that kids really need to play outside for their proper child development. We also partner with the schools in order to create what we call it the outdoor classes lessons. When we have the lessons outside, when kids are playing in the nature, getting dirty, and of course, we take care of all of these things. But what we are encouraging is the moms, the schools, and the whole society to allow the kids to play, allow the kids to get dirty. And the whole idea for us, the purpose of the brand, is to really say that dirt is good, we take care of these things, you take care of the child development. And I think that is this concept of a brand with purpose in action when we have a product to buy, one of the best laundry detergent that is out there at an affordable price, made sustainable, and at the same time an idea to buy into. That is the whole idea of dirt is good.
Yeah, I love the phrase in there where they talk, if you don't have to throw your kid in a bathtub and clean them, they're not having a good time. And the relationship of the brand to the situation is so powerful, and they've done a tremendous job with that. So we're focusing on consumer behavior, right? I mean, that's what we do. We try to develop a message. We try to develop that kind of relationship. So how do you deal with consumer behavior?
Yeah. So I think that the first thing that we need to understand, and I think that we live in this kind of exponential times, as we say, that the pace of change is not going to be as low as it is today. I think that this is the reality that we are living. And we right now can really, with all the data, all the technology that is out there, really understand consumers, really understand what they want, really understand what they need, and to provide the relevant and meaningful solution to them. I think that technology, data, and so on allow us to understand the consumer behavior in a much better way that we couldn't done before. And I think that once we understand all of this, how do we create experiences, solutions that, of course, are relevant and in the right context? We usually say internally that context boosts the content. So right now, we can, with all of the digital age that we are living, to understand consumer behavior and to create, as we say, personalization at scale, or to provide meaningful solutions to everybody in the world. And I think that we have another great case study that I can share here. There is again another case study from our partners on IPG, and it's from our brand Roth. So why don't we just see the case, and then I will expand on how we understand consumers and how we create solutions at scale, but also at the personalized level. So let's see the case from Roth, please.
Hi.
I'm Clayton.
Cream.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You have to feed each other.
Eh?
So I'm not allowed to put food in my own mouth.
No, you're not. You know what? This wasn't very expensive. You can just ram it straight in my mouth. I love everything that is on this table.
Right, okay.
It's very cute when you feed me, you know.
You like it?
I like it. Hi guys, it's Antonio. I just drove all the way to come and meet Irma for the second time.
Hi guys, so I'm finally back home from my date with Antonio. It was amazing.
By the way, that particular spot was the #2 viewed campaign on YouTube for 2016. And I think it had 60 million viewers, is
Yes.
that right?
Yeah.
So think about the reach of something like that. It's just incredible. So what went behind it?
So I think that there is a combination here because we plan as well for reaching people at scale. So we use the Facebook, the Twitters, the YouTube of this world, the Unruly as well to distribute the video. But I think that what is super interesting for me in this case study, going back to this question of consumer behavior, is that we create a tool in partnership with IBM that allows you to personalize and to understand your taste profile. And based on this, and as you can see there is one that is a salty adventure. I'm a salty adventure, coming from Argentina. I'm looking forward for my steak and a chimichurri sauce there in Buenos Aires next week. But once you understand your taste profile, then we can give you the exact kind of content that you need, and we partner with Tastemade and Playbus, and we basically only provide you the right of recipes based on your own taste profile. And I think that personalization at scale and at the same time driving reach across all over the world, I think that combination has been one of the key success factors. There is also a completely new ways of working in how we deploy this campaign. So basically, we have in our headquarters a command center that is basically a room where we bring all of our agencies, all of our partners, our marketeers, research. There are screens all over. And from there, we deploy the campaign across all of the markets. We track all different KPIs, whatever is cost, whatever is, of course, reach, sentiment, view rate, completion rate, and we just track all of this. And in real time, in order to create a global movement, we just increase or decrease investment in different parts of the world, and also provide relevant content for all of our influencers. So this idea of context boost content, we know that it works. So knowing exactly what is your profile, what is the kind of a content that we are going to give you. So I think that that is a bit of the secret sauce of this of the recipe for this success, and has been an amazing case study that we have deployed this year.
Yeah, what is amazing is the real-time aspect of this.
Yeah.
And that's how the world has changed, right? It's no longer just put something up there and let's hope it works. Yeah. We have the ability to really focus in on the consumer and what their likes and dislikes are. And what they've set up in terms of their command center is state-of-the-art capabilities to reach that consumer in the right way, which is really the holy grail of our business, right? We have to have an idea, we have to have a product that is supportable, and we have to have that relationship. At this point, I want to hijack this a little bit. And the reason for it is it has to do with sustainability. Yeah. And this whole idea of relationships. I mean, you talk to talk about brands and relationships with consumers. These brands are global, all over the world. People have a relationship. They wouldn't think of using another brand because they have confidence in it. And so the leveraging that with sustainability is really what we're all about. And in our business, because we have the ability to create great ideas and reach consumers, we've adopted, the UN has these strategic goals, and we as an industry have adopted the strategic goals and put our heads together, no matter which holding company, there are other holding companies out there, and we've all sort of picked a goal and agreed to, on a pro bono basis, put together work that can reach the world to make a change. And the goal that IPG has selected is water, which ties directly into what Unilever is doing, particularly on water and scarcity on a worldwide basis. And Paul in particular has really spearheaded this at the United Nations, and we're very proud to partner with both Unilever and the United Nations to focus on water, because without healthy water, the impact on a global basis is astounding. And really some people lose sight of that. So this is going to be the first time ever that we're going to show this. So I only saw it once, and it was a rough draft. Is it still just a rough draft? I don't know whether we fixed it. But and of course, there's a piece in there about Unilever. But I'd love to share this with you now and actually get your reactions to it. So let's run the sustainability.
Life begins with water. Peace begins with water. Healthy, prosperous communities begin with clean, accessible water. But we are in the midst of a global water crisis. 1 in 9 people don't have access to safe, clean drinking water, and 20% of deaths under the age of 5 are due to water-related disease. How do we solve this? By creating solutions around infrastructure, sanitation and hygiene, and protecting and restoring ecosystems. IPG has partnered with clients across our global network to make definitive progress.
Our commitment today is to use the creative talent that we have together with everyone on this stage and really put together a solution. We don't just generate social media buzz, we actually impact what's happening in the world today. Great. Well, thank you. So now let's bring it back to the real world in a way. You know, everyone's connected, right? And we're connected. Everyone's got their smartphones. Everyone's got their tablets. They got TVs, and so on. So really, the $64 question, there it is. We're going to put you on the spot, okay? Is TV dead?
Not at all. Not at all. So for us, TV is still a big part of our overall investment. So we are still one of the biggest players on TV, and there is a big audience there, and we continue investing there. We use the principle of a multi-screen planning that is basically following the eyeballs across different platforms. That is the overarching. We try not to talk about TV, mobile, tablet. We talk about multi-screen planning and how we embrace all of this. And that's why you can see us doing sponsorships on the Super Bowl or on the Oscars. So we do have a big presence there. But I believe that we always rephrase this in terms of a traditional or digital. We call it, we don't have a digital strategy and a traditional strategy. We have one single marketing holistic strategy for a connected digital world. That's the way that we change this. And I think that, yes, we are still big on TV. Yes, we are big in digital, but we talk about our one single marketing holistic strategy for a connected world.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole point is we have this pool of dollars that has to be allocated in the best way to reach the consumers. So you have the entire world in front of you, and the job is to pick which works best for the task that you're looking for. So you don't start out with the premise that this is all digital or this is all TV. And you work to see which consumers you want to reach and which is the best way to reach them in a way that they're comfortable with that kind of relationship. But you know, what's interesting is Magna just put out their forecast in terms of spend, and in the United States for 2016, digital has passed linear TV in terms of the overall spend, and we are forecasting that next year it'll pass it on a global basis. But that doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of opportunities on TV, because TV works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but it just has to be used correctly, and you have to have the kind of stuff that Unilever is known for in terms of the creative reach and the creative content that they put on TV that develops that. So one question from me before I turn it over to the audience, and this is a tough one. We have Google, we have Facebook, right? And probably 70% of all the digital spend ends up in one of those two areas. Do you think what's the prognosis in terms of that sustaining itself? New players in the field? Do you get the right reach that you really are looking for when you go to Google or Facebook? How do you view that?
So definitely we get the right reach. Those are platforms that are all over the world. And for the first time ever, we can have a joint business plans with them that touch all of the markets. And one of the beauties about those players is that we call it the global model. There is the combination of leveraging all of our global power, but at the same time having local agility, local hyper-targeting, so you can get a mixture of both. There is an example that we have done with Magnum some time back, where Magnum was celebrating our ice cream brand 25th year anniversary. And what we have done is basically we target people all around the world at the time of their birthday. So that allows you to have a global scale with something that is absolutely relevant, contextual for you. And I think that yes, we can do all of these kind of activities. Yes, those are two big of the players. That there are some challenges, and we as an industry are for example trying to as advertiser are trying to lead on this, and it's in the area of viewability and verification. Yes, so we wanted to secure that all of our videos, all of our assets are viewed by human, not bots. How do we avoid ad fraud? At the same time, we wanted to know if people are looking for 1 second or 30 seconds. I think it's quite a fair question to ask to all of those players, and more important, to secure that we have independent third-party verification, just not to allow all of them to mark their own homework. So I do believe that there are plenty of opportunities, but those are the challenges and we are addressing. There are new players out there. Snapchat is one of them, and there continue being new players. And as I mentioned, we are now doing a global partnership with Playbus, Tastemade, Vice, that is there. I saw the guys around there. So they are one of our key partners, Refinery 29. So they continue appearing new partners in this space.
Luis was being kind not to focus on the question that Facebook is facing right now in terms of whether their analytics are actually what they purport to be. And this whole issue of transparency is big in our whole industry, not just on Facebook. It's true in all of media. And we're particularly proud of our relationship and how we view transparency. So I've hogged the Q&A enough, and at this point I got a sign here that says you ought to ask the audience a few questions. So let me do that. Let me turn to the audience and any questions that are out there. Come on, with all these great experts in the business here.
Hi, thank you for speaking with us this morning. The ARF talks about, the ARF Advertising Research Foundation talks about the right amount of dollar spend across different platforms. And you've indicated that the amount of spend on digital is going to exceed television this year. The ARF talks about a snapback, though, that there is an overspend in dollars towards digital, and as a result, you're not seeing the return on the investment that you should be seeing. Do you see that snapback happening from digital back to television, and also perhaps back to radio?
Yeah, I think that there was a study last year, I think it was done by the ANA, the National Association of Advertising, with a wide ops, that basically was a wide opening for most of the players when they talk about ad fraud in the industry. So that ranged between 2 to 37%. And of course, if you have not done properly all of your programmatic media buying, and you have not done properly an assessment of your media buying, I'm sure that those players are going to now get out of the market. So imagine if you have around 40% of your investment that is looked by bots or is going to places that you are not supporting in terms of the content, those players are now to realize of how to invest differently. In our case, in that particular study, we cannot mention where we were positioning, but the range was between 2 and 37, and we were around this area. So that's why I believe that I think it's important to really go into the detail on how you're doing your programmatic media buying in order to secure that you are addressing the right target, and you have as well the right viewability standards and so on. I think that there is a lot of raising awareness of digital. It's not just something that you just drop money and everything is done perfectly. I think that there's a lot of work that advertisers and agencies need to do together to understand what we are buying.
Yeah, part of this, and I've heard a lot about that. Frankly, part of it comes from the TV industry, because they want to obviously tout TV over digital. 2016 was an interesting year because the prior year, a number of the advertisers got caught between the upfront and the scatter, and scatter was very pricey, if you will. So in response to the scatter and people being caught with having to pay inflated dollars because they didn't participate in the upfront, this year people chose to participate more in the upfront than in the scatter. And as a result of that, Les Moonves went out and said TV is back. All right, so that's where that came from. The reality is when you look at the overall spend, TV is still important, but it's not as back as as the numbers might indicate because of the disparity between the upfront and the scatter. And of course, Luis isn't going to give away their tactical strategy in terms of the upfront versus the scatter, but that goes into those determinations. But yeah, I mean, the question of transparency, reliability, all of this goes into the decision as to where you place that money. And the Facebook issue, for example, if you start questioning the reliability of the digital buy, then people are going to go to something that they're more comfortable with, which is TV, which is why this whole issue of transparency is so critical, because we want to get that right. And measurement is the other part of it. If TV measurement gets to be where it's as good, if you will, on the digital side, then we have something really apples to apples to compare in terms of the effectiveness and the ROI. So there's a lot of more work to be done here.
There is also a piece of work that we are doing in the Mobile Marketing Association that is this multi-touch attribution. So basically, who gets the credit of the purchase? And of course, you can say, okay, I build all the awareness, I have done all of this campaign, but then the transaction happened on that platform, and that is the one that say, no, I have the highest ROI. And I think that there is a lot of education in the industry as well, just to understand that there are multi-touch attribution, there are different players that has different weighted, and we have done a piece of work with them just to bring that to the industry. But I think that that's another key topic on how do we allocate dollars, and how, if we don't have independent third-party verification, we can fall into the trap of, here it is that I am the one accountable for this, or here is I have completion views, and at the end of the day, it's only a couple of seconds that people are watching our videos.
Great, thank you. Kay?
Yes, Kay Koplowitz. I wonder how you deal with ad blocking on the different platforms. How do you account for it? What kind of discount if you give it to your distribution of your ads on the different platforms, and how they rank, and where the ad blocking is most severe?
Absolutely. So ad blocking has been there for a long time, and I think that even when people just was watching TV and just get stand and get a cup of coffee, that was an ad blocking behavior. But I believe that right now, with all of the technology, there is a much more easy for consumers to be empowered on this. And we divided our content in two big areas. One that is what we call the interruption content. That is how we still reach people at scale. And the other one is the seek out content. That is basically following passion points from people, where people are the ones that are basically looking for our content. I think that the more and more we are trying to create seek out content, where based on people's needs, they are seeking out our content. But of course, At the end of the day, all goes back to creativity. If people are watching this kind of high quality content, people wanted to engage. And I think that all of us have the responsibility to really to create much better content and much more relevant. And that's why that combination of content and context is super important. Because yes, that could be a fantastic piece of content, but if it's in the wrong context, I'm not interested. And marrying these two things together, I guess that is one of the ways that we are trying to overcome to high level of engagement with people and people to connect with our brands. Everything that we are doing is we want to connect our brands with people. As simple as that.
Yes?
Hi, Scott Singer. So you mentioned seek out content. Taking that a step further, branded content, influencer marketing, what role is that playing in your brand awareness and customer acquisition, and how is that, you expect that to change over time?
Yes, I do expect that we are going to create more and more seek out content, and this has a role to play, but still interruption advertising is critical for all of us to reach at scale. So we are putting together some work streams. We are working with the studios as well to create content that people are seeking out. We have already some examples that we have done with Paddle Pop, where basically we create content in partnership with Disney, and then we broadcast that content. And Paddle Pop, our ice cream brand, is at the center of this. And then we're trying to monetize that content. I think that we are in that journey in trying to make our dollars work it harder. So yes, you will see much more into that space from Unilever. And we have some good case studies that the one I mentioned.
You know, what's interesting, the spend, in terms of the digital spend, so much of it is still going to search and social media.
Yeah.
But the branded content stuff, I mean, that's I think, part of the future of those kind of relationships that are being built on the web.
And we have, just to mention, talking about branded content, if you go back to the roots of Unilever, you will see that back in 1896, Lord Lever was the first one to partner with the Lumiere brothers to create the first piece of branded content for our Sunlight soap. So we have a bit of history creating this. And I think that that's, again, how we are trying to connect our brands with people.
That's a definition of a visionary.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, yes.
Brett Lehonen, KRC Research, proud member of the IPG family. Curious your thoughts on the rise of challenger brands. Is that something you spend a lot of time worrying about? And is that the rise of challenger brands? Yes. And is that story overstated? Is that trend overstated?
Yeah. So what I will say, and if you see the evolution of Unilever in the last couple of months, we are evolving our portfolio as well. You have seen that we recently acquired Dermalogica, Murad, even Blue Air in different categories, 7 Generations. So I think that we are, as well as having the mainstream of our business continue to perform, we are building new capabilities with new brands, and also in new channels, as you have seen with our acquisition with the Dollar Shave Club. Yeah. So I think that yes, we care about our current competitors, but also for competitors that are coming from a completely different place that we are not seeing, and that's why you see us entering into new categories, entering into new channels in order to develop a business that is sustainable for the generations to come, as we have been doing for the last 100 years.
Certainly the Dollar Shave Club is a challenger brand, and it's a subscription model. So it'll be a great vehicle to learn the sustainability of the subscription model and how you can monetize that and expand the brand with it. So I think it's part of the insights you get from something like that. So I thought it was a great move. Yes?
Tom, you've talked about context and you've talked about personalization and scale. Are there ways for segmenting consumers that you wish you had that you don't have, or how do you see the evolution of that?
So we are bringing what we call the people data centers in Unilever, that is basically trying to understand much more the data that we have with our consumers, and then build different segments to create content, especially for them. So, and in that area, we try also to integrate different data sources. So, for example, we receive millions of calls in our care lines, yeah? And up to the last couple of years, basically the KPI from those people is that, okay, they call me and I want you to get out of the line as soon as possible, because that was the KPI. And then I invest millions of people on the other side to try to connect with the same person that is calling me. So I guess that trying to bring all of these things together to create one single big data source of all of our Unilever contacts, and then just cut it in the way that we need, and then embrace what we call the programmatic creative, that is basically how we can develop at scale solutions. Because of course, with the 2 billion people touching our brands, we need to find new ways of having creative assets for all of these new segments.
Well, first of all, Luis doesn't have too much of a passion for what he does, in case you can tell. But I know he has a time commitment, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think you're. I think the insights that we've heard are probably just the tip of some of the challenges that Unilever and all major brands are going to face on a worldwide basis, and we're very fortunate to have had you this morning to share your insights. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Michael.
It was
Happy
great.
holidays. See you at
You
CES.
too. Yes, you bet, buddy. Thank you.